The sharp scent of blood pinched his nostrils, and the most unpleasant thing was that the slender body, which wasn't moving anymore. Her last breath was already dissolved in the air several minutes ago. While that thick red color slowly spread onto the floor, it has all happened so quickly. She's tried to lie, to make a fool of himself, and that when things got worse in a little argument, a tug on her arm has changed the course of their lives. The loss of stability, the edge of furniture, and finally the silence. It wasn't my fault, Jason thought. It was a terrible incident. He was standing on the foot of the front of the little girl's corpse, breathless, and only witness of the incident where his puppets he built had surrounded him. In the shop, there were only him and the corpse. When Jason's blood started to circulate again, he understood that he should find a solution and couldn't stand still there without doing anything. The situation was too complicated. They'll put me behind bars and throw away the key. He became desperate. I'm not an assassin. I just want to scold her. She fooled me with that thing with the defective puppet for having a new one in return. He made a little turn around and looked back at the corpse, but that time he gave an accusing stare. It was all your fault, he screamed in rage. You made all this happen. He decided to hide the incident, and the first thing he did was to close up the shop, not to make someone else enter. He took the little girl into the workshop, where he created the toys and everyone acclaimed as works of art, and he put her on that working table. In that room there was a sharp scent of paint, but it wasn't enough to cover neither the smell of blood nor the horror that was going to happen next. Jason put the hands on his head, digging the fingers among his dark mahogany flocks, and pushed himself to find a solution. His stare stopped at a snake-shaped puppet laying on the floor. It was one of his first creations, after that unusual accident, and as if by magic everything was clear for him. He didn't have to worry. He grabbed the sandsaw and got closer to the body. He used that object to cut open the wood pieces he needed for creating some toys, but not that day. Jason took a deep breath. His body was trembling, and his heartbeat felt so fast to make him feel like the pain. He lifted the hand and saw and closed his eyes, refusing to see the horror that was going to happen. 4 hours later, the purple snake was still lying down on the floor, but he got more inflated. Jason was sitting on the chair in silence in front of the blood-soaked table. Tears stopped to pour from his face when he managed to stop fighting against this feeling of sickness. In that moment, he was just stunned, and his big ember glow-colored eyes seemed to have become blackened and slit. The corpse was gone, laying in the snake's mouth, and together with it, Jason's last piece of humanity too. How could something like this happen? How did I arrive at this point? And the answer was just a name, Amelia. Oh, Amelia, his childhood friend, the one and only, because before her arrival, Jason has always been a child locked in his silence, locked in his own world. His parents were strict, but wanted to see him studying all day in the house where he lived. Toys were forbidden. Mom and Dad weren't bad people. They knew they loved him, but they weren't able to show their affection. Like every parent, they wanted their son to be perfect and with a brilliant future, but all that pressure was too much for a 9-year-old child. As for Jason, he made everything he could to make them feel proud of him. He was a model student at school and obedient, even though his great dedication. It has never been enough. Even if he couldn't have any toys at home, Jason has built some little wooden figurines he kept in the school garden, away from the students' reach. He could play with them without being punished. He kept them hidden underground, just like a priceless treasure, until the day a child named Amelia noticed him. To tell the truth, it has always been the teacher asking Amelia to go to him. She was a sunny and friendly child, where he has been bashful and shy. Every attempt to make him approach another children failed. Over his time, peers started to make fun of him. His teacher just wanted to help Jason, and she kinda did it, but sacrificing Amelia. Jason wasn't weak. The contrary, he was a perfect manipulator and master of deception. He was like a wolf hiding in the mask of a lamb. However, he became attached to a little Amelia. He never did any harm to her. Actually, he wanted to be a good friend and protect her. Could this be considered as a normal relationship? Nice friendship along with children? Absolutely not. Maybe what Jason himself couldn't understand was a lack of friendship that his parents created a severe effect of addiction. He always wanted to be the primary importance to Amelia. He liked saying he was the only friend she needed, and he made her feel unsure. Jason wasn't looking for love, and maybe not even affection. He wanted to be praised. He wanted to be important for somebody, and this made him feel alive. He felt like he existed, and it was great. He wanted to feel it again and again, so he made Amelia believe that the world is a place full of bad people who never dared to interfere to pay for it. The effect of addiction and the manipulations often made Jason do bad things. Just like with Lucy, Amelia's friend, who wanted to go first on the swing, and he pushed her so fast that she fell down, causing her a broken wrist. Or Jonathan, who always asked Amelia for colored pencils when he got pushed down the school stairs. Jason pushed him when he was giving him his back like a coward because he knew no one would blame him. Also, like a child like any other intruder, after those awkward incidents suddenly stopped to talk with Amelia. The more he grew, the more dangerously and spitefully he acted, obviously without lessening from the previous acts. In the meantime, his poor and naive Amelia, stunned by Jason's kindness and his nice words, he seemed to be careless about these awkward incidents happening around them, or the two of them, or maybe in other words, she didn't want to see it. Once grown up, Jason decided to open a toy shop, and his parents kicked him out of the house due to that decision. What a disappointment. After years of hard work, in the end of their son has chosen a stupid and disgraceful job on the contrast of what they imagined. Jason was happy, and because he became a talented toy maker. He didn't lack a fantasy. People of every age bought his creations, and moreover, he had his faithful friend by his side. It would have been wonderful if the story ended there. But the perfect world Jason built didn't last any longer. Like everything, Amelia visited her friend went in the shop closed to company with him. Jason had to settle in the chaos won by those stupid children. He took off his beige vest to feel more comfortable and pulled up the sleeves of his white shirt. Amelia looked around and gave a nostalgic grin. Think about it, Jason. You started from a wooden figure to the point of being able to do all this. You are happy, aren't you? I might say yes, even though I'm start hating children, he replied. They ruin everything they touch. Get used to it. There are your most faithful customers. She made him smile, and she made fun of him, while the guy scoffed. I know it's awkward, a toy maker who hates children. Amelia didn't answer, but from her little amused smile, it wasn't difficult to say she agreed with him. I decided to become a toy maker because I love shaping my fantasy, because you were the first one telling me that. You were good at creating wooden figures, so I suggested you become a toy maker or something like that. I'm glad you listened to me. Good friends do this, the toy maker replied, and for becoming it, at times you must do some things. Amelia looked puzzled at her friend. What do you mean? Jason shrugged it off and looked at her, smiling. Do you remember the pink letter? Oh, of course, Amelia remembered it. It was one of the most unpleasant days of her life. When she was 15, Amelia fell in love with a boy from class next to hers. She didn't have the courage to confess her feelings, and obviously Jason scared her as usual. If people find out your weakness in the end, I don't think it's a good idea, he has said, but Amelia's friend disagreed with it. She encouraged Amelia and suggesting her to write in the letter. Then she would have delivered it, but something went wrong. The letter disappeared from Amelia's backpack was attached to the black backboard in the class of the boys she liked. He saw the letter getting passed hand by hand by the boys reading it with scornful tone in her confession. She heard the laughter, the not-so-funny jokes in the name and the signature. They were screaming. It wasn't hers. It wasn't her friend who encouraged her. They made fun of her in the entire school year, and at the end she decided to change schools. Amelia has never been seen again. She fought. She acted like a coward doing that, yet Jason did it. How could you do that to me? Why? Her voice came out with the effort. I protected you, like I've always done. In Jason's face there was an angry little trace of reprehensiveness. This doesn't mean protecting someone. Amelia was angry, but what was really got on her nerves was her friend's shallow attitude. I won't forgive you for that, Jason. She quickly left the shop and slammed the door with all of her strength. Jason followed her, but he didn't make another footstep over the main entrance. Perhaps you are angry? Obviously, his friend didn't reply and went straight back at home. She was so angry that who's ever got in the sight, she would ever step them like brass brakeless train. However, once she's gotten home, she closed her own room and started to cry. Amelia cried not only for that letter, but for all the people Jason parted from her. It was like waking up and suddenly from a long sleep. For years she didn't mind it, because she was afraid to lose him, and she couldn't really understand the reason. Maybe because she was just a fool, or she just enjoying the feeling primarily importance on those rare occasions when Jason complimented her. She has left all those friends to part ways, believing that they were unfaithful. But the only one who really should disappear from her life was that magnificent and innocent Jason. On the other hand, the toy maker stayed in his shop, and after finishing his affairs, he closed in his little workshop. He settled on the sheets of the sofa and lay down. According to a stranger's impression, his attitude wasn't the best of all, yet he acted like a real douchebag. But actually, he was very sorry for Amelia for being so angry with him. The next day, when his friend should be back visiting him, he decided that he would try to calm her down, contrary to what he was expecting. The following day, Amelia didn't show up at the shop, so she did the day after, and the day after tomorrow. A month later, Jason had no news all about his friend. His man's pride prevented him from being able to ring the bell to her house, but all that time helped him thinking about why he may be a way to be forgiven. He was still not sure about being forgiven about what he has done. He didn't manage to understand, but he knew Amelia perfectly and needed nothing more than to make her forget her anger. A toy would be enough, but Jason had made something very special, a music box. He didn't buy it, he made it with his own hands, and after his hard work contemplating his hands, they were full of wounds and wooden pieces. But that wasn't the only surprise. The most important part of the gift, the most precious of all, was a little puppet resembling him in an astonishing way. Hidden inside the music box, a surprise contained inside another surprise. The puppet was as big as the palm of the hand, dressed like Jason. It had the same hair color and two black buttons used as eyes. It's not as handsome as the original, but she's going to like it. His hope was stored inside that puppet, but also the deep fear and anguish always obsessing with Jason. He always wanted to help someone in his life to appreciate him, and he didn't need anything else than to his company. He wanted to be looked up to, someone who mattered, because it was so beautiful feeling somebody needed his help, like in the earlier discussion when Jason felt like to exist and not be like an object. That puppet should have been a sort of lucky charm for him, but after what he created for everything started to go wrong. For Jason, this was only the beginning. After creating his two gifts, 3 days later Jason didn't manage to come out of his creations room. It was Monday and people waited for the front of the shop asking themselves why it hasn't opened yet. Jason wasn't feeling well. He had a terrible headache and got cold feet. Anyway, he didn't want to wait anymore, so he left from the back of the shop and went to Amelia's house, sacrificing his aching body. When he knocked her to the door, He thought that he could see her face with those chocolate hair and blue eyes of hers. Yet he faced her mother, and he and her look him the impression of a happy visit. Jason cleared his voice. Good morning, madame. Is your... And in that very moment, Amelia looked out onto the door and stopped by her mother's side. Hi, Amelia. She looked down, and her cheeks turned red. Hi. Why did you come here? Her mother asked, interrupting that embarrassing silence. Jason's lips turned into a smile and showed a precious music box. I bought you this present to make it up. I built it with my own hands, and inside there's another surprise. For a brief moment, Amelia's eyes sparkled. She was unsure about accepting Jason's present, and she was almost convinced of ever forgiving him. But that smile of his didn't bewitch her mother. It never did. And not even Jason was just apparently an innocent child. She always thought his attitude was awkward since the day that little incident happened. She always remembered going to make the snacks for little Amelia followed to giving her a hand, while Jason was left alone with her daughter's canary. It was her first pet, and Amelia got attached to it. Jason then appeared and stated that the canary wasn't moving anymore. The three of them reached out for the living room, and poor Amelia started to cry. While Jason was by her side, he caressed her back and told her not to worry and that everything was going to be all right. In that sentence, there was nothing wrong. Jason just wanted to console Amelia, but her mother didn't ignore the most invisible smile. Many times she had told her daughter that there was something wrong with him. The little girl always refused to listen to her, but her patience was gone. Amelia doesn't want to be friends with you anymore, Jason. Maybe it's better that way. Trust me. Jason raised his eyebrows. What? He sounded astounded, but then he looked at her. But why? I've always been by your side. You can always count on me, he said, but Amelia kept looking down like a beaten dog. I made this present for you, please. Jason gave the music box to Amelia, but she rejected almost reluctantly. With that gesture, with that every moment, he felt like a stronger grip in his heart. An aching pain caused him to lose stability. Are you all right? Amelia noticed that reaction of his and finally took the boys in his eyes. How can I be all right? Jason breathed with difficulty. I've always been by your side. Although those things I've done and you regarded as unforgivable, and now how do you do this to me? He said. What is it? A punishment? Revenge? I don't care anymore. He gathered the strength and looked at Amelia. I thought you were a smart person. Apparently this was the only mistake I made. Satisfied with his friend having teary eyes, Jason turned around and went back to his shop. For several weeks, Jason wasn't the same anymore. His anger was a lot, and his health conditions were getting worse. He just wanted to go on with his life, but the incident with that little girl happened. Sitting on that chair, staring with the blank space, and his hands pouring blood, Jason felt something in him change forever. He didn't feel like nothing anymore, and his body was changing. He didn't let the depression take control, and he wasn't sad. He didn't like the reality anymore. While he was busy thinking about leaving that little town, he heard Amelia's voice calling his name out of the shop. Neither he didn't overreact, nor he didn't wag his tail like a dog. He just thought about getting refreshed, and without hesitation, he opened the door. Amelia immediately noticed Emotionalist's face. After staying silent for a moment, she was the first to speak. Can I come in? Jason moved silently and let the girl go through and closed the door, exposing the sign closed. I'm sorry to disturb you. I just want to know how you did feel. I believe we should talk. Amelia knew there was something odd about Jason, but it wasn't only that. There was an awkward scent in the air, too. There's nothing more to say, and honestly, this isn't a good time for me. Are you all right? You're sweating, she asked. Jason looked around like a fish out of water, and Amelia put her hand on her shoulder. Tell me what's up with you. Are you feeling ill? He took a deep breath. I killed a little girl. She widened her eyes and slowly overwhelmed and parted her hand from Jason. I swear it was just an incident. I didn't want to go to jail for this, and Go on. Actually, she was afraid of what she was going to listen to next. But Jason's stuttering made the room for imagination, and it was even worse. I cut the corpse in pieces and hid it inside a puppet. Maybe yes, it was for the better. Not to make room for imagination and not to listen to those horrible words coming down out of Jason's mouth. He was really being able to do such thing? He wasn't innocent, and she always knew very well, but she could never imagine Jason would be able to kill. One must keep calm in these situations, and there was only one solution. Jason, you must establish yourself. The toymaker, who until that moment looked like a trapped mouse, took the hands off of his temples and stared at Amelia. His look was surprised, like if he suddenly was stabbed to his back. Do you really want me to confess the incident? You know very well how it will end up. You have to try, Jason. You can't act like nothing happened. They will start to look for her, and sooner or later they'll find her. I can't do it, Amelia, the guy snarled. Good, then I'm going to do it for you. Jason kept quiet immediately and looked at the girl, widening his eyes astonishingly. Have you got the nerve to do something like that to me? It's for your own sake. He laughed hysterically. Don't make me laugh. You've always been this stupid. Started to come closer, and meanwhile Amelia moved backwards. Do you know? I've always tried to make you a better person, but I understood you're not trustworthy. I suggest you do not provoke me with your bullshit. Do you think I'm not going to do it? Just watch me. She turned over the exit, but obviously Jason had stopped her, grabbing her by the hair. The two started to fight, and Amelia realized that if Jason has killed once, he would have done it again. She feared that she'd be next. Indeed, she would have been next. She would have been acted differently and maybe pretend to support him. But like any other time, she has made the wrong decision. Jason was right. She was really stupid. She always has been, or perhaps he made her feel inferior so many times that by then she has fought to be. Who knows? To protect herself, Amelia managed to steal a screwdriver on the balcony, but hadn't had the chance to use it yet. She couldn't do anything against Jason's body, and when the ladder slammed on her on the wall, the impact was so violent that Amelia's strength ran out immediately. She fell onto the floor and her head started to ache terribly, but Jason stopped and he looked up and saw the screwdriver stuck in the toymaker's heart. He was standing still and looking overwhelmed at the object stuck, while bloodstain was getting bigger on his vest. You damn bitch! He grabbed the screwdriver and removed it, throwing it violently on the ground, then came together and dried the sweat from his forehead. It's not very nice of you, Amelia. Then he came closer and kicked her in the face. The impact stunned her, but not enough to make her faint, and she stood reclined. I'm sorry it all ended like this, my dear Amelia. He then chuckled. No, just kidding. To be honest, I don't really care. The girl's sight was slightly blurred, but the object the toymaker was holding was easily unmistakable. A handsaw. It has come for her to die? She knew, and her eyes started to shed tears. Would the suffer be a lot? How long would it take for her to die? Would she be dead either from the blood loss or from the aching pain? Although the terror she felt, Amelia decided to run away, but her body was too slow. She turned goofily to the side, but Jason stepped on her shoulder and dislocated it. The girl's tired eyes stared at the toymaker as she saw him caressing his finger on the iron of the teeth of object. She could swear where he was enjoying the moment before massacring the starting. But then she noticed Jason lowered the handsaw inside. There are many things being incomprehensible to humans. Some can be and others cannot. We believe we know every secret in the world we live, but the truth is, we don't know shit. What are you saying? Amelia asked, even if the action was really hard for her to understand. Jason bothered and shook his head. You're too naive. You don't understand? And slowly started to move unparting from her back. You don't need a stupid wish upon a star to make your wish come true when it's truly intense. We are the ones who make the possible impossible things. Maybe it was that bump that caused her to hallucinate. But after Jason speaking the wall behind him, and started to inflate. The wall crumbled on the blue door, and given a golden doorknob popped out. I don't know why, but this doll has become my heart. Jason had the music box open with his hands and looked at it with a very more confused expression. The only place which I can guard it is inside the music box, but it was meant to be a gift, and I wanted to give it away to someone who will take your place. Someone smarter and who could stand up to me. A chosen one. Nobody. Already tired, Amelia whispered. Nobody will want a monster like you. Jason, who's in the meantime opened the blue door, turned over to the girl and smiled. My name is Jason, and it means the one who heals. Did you know? Of course not. His expression was arrogant. Anyone who will replace you, if they are going to be able to understand my good intentions, I will fix them up. After all, a broken toy can always be fixed up too. What, are you crazy? People aren't like your stupid puppets, Amelia shouted. Where will you go? You aren't going to run away. I'm not running away, idiot. But don't worry, I'll be back. Amelia's body trembled, staring at that fake smile as she felt powerless when she saw him disappear behind the door. The wood crumpled on itself, the chips turned into small pieces on the floor, and the walls was intact again, like nothing has ever been there. Amelia spent the rest of her life believing Jason would have been back at any moment to hurt her, but the truth is Jason decided to spare her life. She didn't even realize how lucky she's been, because no one ever after her would have been seen his mercy, just like those wax dolls of every age, which always started to feel more and more in the terrible games room. Those puppets were able to come to life. The only silent witness were the splendid yet horrible world of Jason, the toy maker.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.